Man, welcome back to the Cruise Dynasty podcast. Week 1 in the books. If everything you need to know about week 1, just listen to me and Kraft's last episode. Check it out. We summed it up for everybody. But week 2, we moving on. We ain't thinking about the past. Kraft, I'm in 5 leagues right now, including like a best ball. I went 1-4, but I won in the league I need to win the most in, so I'm as happy as hell. I don't even care about them losses I took.
Oh man, I'm about in the same boat as you that week 1. I was 2-5 or 2-3, 5 leagues. Destroyed all my high school buddies out there because they ain't worth shit.
Shout out. Shout out to the
Shout
class of
out,
11. Shout out to everybody.
shout out. But yeah, won that one and won a dynasty league. But had some good scoring games. But I was playing against some studs this week.
Yeah, I was in some close matchups the whole time. I mean, coming down to the wire. I know me and you are in that super flex league. I just got blew the hell out in that one, but everything else was
Phil
looking.
killed you, man.
Yeah, Phil killed me. P. Miller, he's been on the show, probably be on soon. Again, kicked my butt. He's definitely in win now mode, and I'm definitely rebuilding. There's no doubt about that. But shoot, man, Kraft, man. Like I said, shout out to the class of 2011. We about to recap. No, we ain't recapping shit. Well, what's the news?
We the whole episode yesterday recapping. We got to recap the Broncos game though. We got to hit that Monday nighter right quick.
Yeah, Monday night. What happened? First of all, before we even talk about the fantasy, that Nathaniel Hackett decision at the end, you're kicking a 64-yard field goal. Can you make sense of it for me, man?
I can't make no sense of it. I guess he didn't realize that he was in Seattle and wasn't in Denver, and that ball would not fly as far. But I don't know if Brandon McManus, the praying Manus, is out there kicking 60-yarders all the time. I heard a stat earlier today that he hasn't made a 60-yarder before, so I don't understand what the decision there was. They should have gone for it, man. Who knows?
You're paying Russ all that money. You got to go for it on 4th and 5 or whatever it was. But, yep, terrible decision. Me and Kraft both agree on that. But as far as fantasy-wise, last night we saw a lot of things. I feel like I was pretty much dead on about DK. He did get some targets. But, had that fumble. Let's see, DK Metcalf, let me look. Had in PPR leagues, he had 7.6. He had seven catches for 36 yards and a fumble. So, DK, honestly, to me, if I'm just being for real, that looked about as good as it could go last night for DK Metcalf. Like, if you're holding DK, I mean, I know you want a touchdown, but, I mean, Geno looks sharp, but that's about as good as it's going to get, I feel like.
I can get a little bit better. I mean, Geno only threw for like 190-something yards. I ain't got his exact stats, but yeah, he was pretty efficient, didn't make any mistakes, and surprisingly, Seattle's defense came to play. So it is just a weird week 1, man, and that one just capped it off. Like, I don't think anybody expected Seattle to come out there and win that game.
Nobody from Seattle that's really worth noting. But Denver, there's been that huge debate, especially with the crew, man. Who's the number 1 guy? Is it Judy and Sutton? Both of them saw 7 targets. Both had 4 receptions. Judy just had the big play touchdown. But, Sutton, every time he was one-on-one, they were slinging it to him, throwing it up. So, I think that one's still up for debate. Obviously, it's just week 1, but they both look good. I would want both of them. They're both going to have good years, I see.
Yeah, I mean, I've been real high on Sutton, but I haven't been low on Judy. I mean, I had him ranked as a wide receiver too this year. I didn't think he was going to do terrible, and I still like Cortland Sutton for the rest of the year. But they're both going to have their games, and You might find a week where both of them do really well, or you have a couple games where one outdoes the other. But at the end of the year, I think Sutton still outscores Judy.
Another thing that everybody was paying attention to was them running backs, Javonte Williams, Melvin Gordon. Melvin Gordon saw more of the carries, but Javonte Williams,
Ooh.
12 targets yesterday, 11 for 12. I mean, sheesh. I mean, that I'll take that all day. Javonte and Melvin Gordon both fumbled the ball at the goal line, but this, I think,
Yeah.
we're going to see a little shift right here. I know it was like 50-50 with Melvin Gordon with more, but Javonte's so good. I mean, there's no way. I mean, I think Melvin Gordon looked good too, but there's just no way I'm keeping Javonte off the field as much as they was, as far as I could tell.
Yeah, Javante is just super impressive. Every time he touches the ball, he just looks like he can break one, and he's just breaking tackles left and right. But I mean, I'm with you with Melvin Gordon. He still looks like a good running back, and he's not going away. It
No.
was just funny. It was kind of funny to me how Melvin Gordon fumbled, and it was like, oh man, this is Javante's time to take over this backfield, goal line fumble, and then he comes out there. It just does the same exact thing. I mean,
Yeah.
just how it goes, I guess.
That game could have definitely gone different for Denver. I'll say that. Russell Wilson had 17 points, 29 for 42, 340 yards, no turnovers, I believe. So Russell Wilson, he had a solid game. You want more from a fantasy aspect, but to me, he looks a little. Obviously Russell Wilson's still a top 10 quarterback, but definitely not as fast as he was. Looks a little
Well,
chunky, if I dare say, a little chunky.
I don't know what that was. That's the first thing I saw last night. Was like, man, either this guy done gained like 50 pounds, or he's wearing like a shit ton of pads or something. Like he done upgraded his pads. I don't know.
But yeah, nothing to be concerned about from Denver. I mean, you still got good production from their players, and I mean, the sky's the limit. I mean, they was in a tough game week one. Russ coming back home, so a lot of emotions. But I say, look for Denver. Honestly, I'm kind of higher on these Denver players after that week one game.
Yeah, I think they both played. They all played real well. I don't think there was a real bust in that game. I would say maybe Melvin Gordon, because I felt like that was a good game script for him,
Yeah.
and he didn't perform that much. But one more inch, he'd have scored a touchdown. We might be saying something different, but he'd be the only one that I'm leery of on this team.
Let's just that's enough on Monday night. Let's just dive into the news. I know we got a few things. We talked about a lot of the news yesterday after the week one, but week two, I know one thing I said was Najee will be there for week two, is what it's looking like.
Yeah, this is from Najee's mouth himself. He just keeps saying that it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. He'll be back. So this is directly from Najee, which sometimes players are a lot more optimistic than coaches. So I'd
Yeah,
still keep an eye on it.
yeah. Yep. Looking out for old Jalen Warren, but other than that, Najee's definitely starting any lineups. So what else we got out there?
Keenan Allen's going to be out on Thursday. I don't see a way he's going to come back. He hasn't been practicing this week. The game's in 2 days, so I would plan to be without him for 1 week. If you're in a pinch, Joshua Palmer in that same game should be a shootout. If you're in a
Yeah.
pinch, you can go out there on the waiver wire and see if you can snag him up.
Yeah, we'll dive into a little bit more of that matchup in a minute because they play on Thursday night versus Kansas City. Um, what else we got for the people? I know Kenneth Walker. They're saying he's going to be back this week. Been dealing with a sports hernia.
Yeah, you got Kim Walker coming back. Rashad Penny is going up against the 49ers this week.
Whew, tough matchup.
So, yeah, some people are going to be forced to start him. I'm probably one of them. But I don't like it. I don't like it at all starting Rashad Penny this week, but I'm gonna have to roll him out there. He looked good. They didn't give him
Yeah.
a whole bunch of work.
I agree. Rashard Penny did look good. I was saying I watched him carry the ball one time. I was like, dang, I wish I had him. He looked pretty
The
good.
eye test, man.
Yeah.
We use that thing called the eye test.
Yep. Just open your eyes. I mean, he looked pretty good from what I know. Travis Homer got a few carries himself. But what else we got out there?
Dak Prescott, Jerry Jones is saying that he's not going to injured reserve. I don't, man. Jerry Jones is I don't even know. I ain't got enough words for him, Jerry Jones, right now. But
Yeah,
uh,
he's kind of
Russell
goofy.
Wilson did this last year, man, and it did not work out well. So I
Yeah.
don't know really what to think at all about this. If Dak comes back, I'd rather him just be placed on injured reserve and come back healthy.
Yep, I couldn't agree with you more. Don't want to rush him back after 4 games that he can't even grip the football. I mean, there's just some injuries. I know I'm like Levi, who we had on yesterday. I'll roast on these guys for injuries too, but there's like little things that it is what it is. Like if your thumb is just broke and you can't grab the football, I mean, there's nothing you can do, man. So go ahead and rest Dak. But if that's all, let's move on to these matchups. Unless you got anything else for the people.
Let's get on to these matchups, man. I'm excited about these. Thursday night's going to be crazy.
Yep, Thursday night we got let's see, LA Chargers going to Kansas City. You know, a lot of star power in this game. Obviously, the quarterbacks must starts Herbert, Mahomes. Mahomes looked sharp as could be last week. Um,
Man,
Eckler, a must start. You like we
yeah,
said in the
Mike
news.
Williams.
Yeah, Mike Williams. No Keenan Allen, so Mike Williams. Is Palmer a must start though? Just kind of in a pinch, you just throw him in.
Yeah, he's like one of them waiver wire ads. Like if you had a terrible performance from like your flex spot last week, say a la Russell Gage or something like that, then if you're looking to replace that spot, Joshua Palmer, we talked about it yesterday. Palmer, Samuel, stuff like that. I feel like you could do a lot worse.
You know, I was thinking about this because I see Gerald Everett's name. I think Gerald Everett, with Keenan Allen down, I would take a shot on him if you need um, some tight end production. And I was thinking about this morning after work when I was in the shower. I was thinking, would I be playing these tight ends? Like, I'm thinking about all these tight ends. We've been shitting on for weeks now. And, Disley got a touchdown last night for Seattle. So I'm just thinking, like, there's no wrong answer at tight end. They're all so bad. If I was y'all, just throw in a random tight end. You never know. That junk might click. Whatever is out there. I'm just done giving advice. Unless you got Travis Kelce or Andrews, something that's so obvious. I say roll whatever tight end you want out there. You never know. They might score. OJ Howard had 2 touchdowns, Kraft. So I mean, it's just anything can happen, man. That's my advice from here on out on these tight ends.
Yeah, go to the waiver wire, close your eyes, and click twice. Figure out which tight end you got. But I'm rolling with Robert Tunyon this week, I think. So
Yeah.
if I get one good game out of him, I'm gonna be like, this is my guy for the rest of
Yep.
the year.
Exactly. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, you obviously starting him. Had a big game last week. Let's see. Wasn't on the field, but for only 39% of the snaps. But the game did get out of hand. Had 3 receptions, 2 touchdowns.
Yeah,
Clyde, man, I was kind of off of him, but I was kind of giving him a little bit of benefit of the doubt because I did hear he had some kind of gallbladder issue. If that is true, Clyde Edwards-Helaire might be a sneaky good play all year.
he could. He was a great zero RB candidate if you grabbed him later on if you went receiver in the first couple rounds. You were definitely looking good the first week, but yeah, it's just something to keep your eye on. He's going to be in your lineup. You're going to start him, but keep an eye on how often he's out there if this game is close because it's going to matter in the long run. He ain't
Uh,
going to score 2 touchdowns every game.
yeah, Travis Kelce, he's clearly an obvious start. But these wide receivers, Juju, Miko, and Valdez Scantling, to me, that's another thing. Just I would play these guys if you just needed a wide receiver to play because I feel like one of them's gonna hit. Because one of these guys, they're just gonna, go out there and have a big game. But he's Mahomes spreaded it around a lot, so it's just kind of like one of those little close your eyes, put whatever wide receiver. Miko had a
Yeah,
touchdown, so I mean, anybody like Scantling, I've been down on him. He'll probably go off next week. We'll see how it goes.
I feel like Juju is probably the safest one on the team target wise, but it's kind of like if you are really hurting at the flex spot and Scantling's your best option or Miko's your best option, like you're better off playing them every week than trying to guess which week they're going to do something because you're going to have some hits, you're going to have some misses,
Yep.
but you don't want to be the one who starts him on the weeks that he does nothing and sits him on the week that he has 30 points. So you got to do it. You got to do it.
On Sunday, we got Miami going to Baltimore. Tua, Lamar, and Superflex. Lamar's an obvious start. Tua, starting in your Superflex leagues. Would you even start Tua in a 1 QB league yet? Probably not.
If you have, here's a good question. If you have Aaron Rodgers, do you start Aaron Rodgers or do you start Tua?
Man. Mm.
Because there's a
I'm,
couple, or Trey Lance. There's a couple of them quarterbacks that were picked to start, and Tua was their second. What do
yeah.
you think?
I would probably go Aaron Rodgers over Tua, but until I see Lance do something, I'm definitely playing Tua over Lance. That one's not even tough for me.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with that. The Packers are playing the Bears, so Aaron Rodgers. He still owns the Bears. He says that. He
Yeah.
says that he owns the Bears. So I played Rodgers this week.
Chase Edmonds, you starting him?
Ooh, that's pretty tough, but yeah, I think he got enough work last week where it wouldn't be the worst thing to throw him in there. You could definitely do worse than Chase Edmonds.
Yep. As far as running backs goes for Baltimore, Dobbins, you're just gonna have to see if he's out or in. I got a lot of Dobbins shares. Me personally, even if he's back, I probably won't even play him week 2 if you have a viable option to put in your lineup. What you think about that one?
Yeah, I ain't going with if Dobbins is out. No Ravens running back is good. I mean, I was kind of saying last week Mike Davis would have been all right, but then I saw some news saying, "Oh, it's going to be the hot hand this week." And Mike Davis is not winning the hot hand approach because he sucks. I just, I was just thinking, Kenyon Drake just arrived, he might get opportunity, but once they said hot hand, I was like, Mike Davis got ice cold hand, so he ain't winning this.
Obvious starts like Tyreek
Proper.
Hill, Jalen Waddle, clearly Rashad Bateman. Those three, they're clearly starting. Mark Andrews starting. But what about Duvernay? What you think? He had a big game last week, had 2 touchdowns. Are you just picking him up, setting him on your bench for now? You wouldn't dare play him, would you?
No, I wouldn't play him this week. Players like that, if they do it 2 times in a row, then I'll start thinking about it and looking more in depth at how many targets they got and see if it was a fluke or not. But one good game ain't enough for me to throw somebody in there that I wasn't even on the radar to begin the season.
I do want to just highlight that Tyreek Hill had 8 receptions for 12 yards, and Waddle had, let's see, he had 5 targets, but he did have a touchdown. So I would say it looks like Tyreek's going to be the man, but Jaceki, don't even think about playing Jaceki. Don't even consider it. I'm sorry if you're in Dynasty and you got him on your team. I'm sorry, you should have sold him, man.
I tried. Nobody wanted him, man.
Shout out.
Nobody wanted
I forgot you had him, but shout out to my brother. You stuck with him.
him. I get rid of him. I offered Gesicki and a 2024 second round pick for Cole Kmet. So
Yeah, I heard that. I would definitely try to get Cole commit. Let's move on to the New York Jets and the Cleveland Browns. The Doo-Doo Browns did get the win last week. You got Nick Chubb. He's an obvious start. These running backs in this game are interesting. You got Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, Brees Hall, Michael Carter. What are we looking at? I know Nick Chubb's an obvious start, but what about Kareem Hunt? Is that obvious?
Yeah, he is. He just always seems to get it done year in and year out. When he's on the field, it don't even matter how many touches he gets. Somehow or another, he's going to score like 15 or 20 points. I don't know how,
He
but he does.
was he was on the field for 56% of the snaps. He had one rushing touchdown, one receiving touchdown, four receptions. Yep, I'm with you. I mean, I was kind of low on Kareem Hunt coming into the year just because he's had some injury issues where he's just out for long periods of time. But Kareem Hunt, I'm with you, man. Brees Hall though, Michael Carter. What are we thinking about that situation? Is one of these running backs just an obvious must start to you, or
Neither one are must starts for me. I would actually rather start. My thing now is start Brees Hall in good game script games where they have a chance. Which this might be a game where they have a chance. Um, and Michael Carter in games where they're going to be behind because he's getting the pass down work, and he actually looks really good. So
yeah?
in that role, so I think Brees Hall is probably I wouldn't say a must start, but he's probably in your lineup this week.
Agreed, agreed. Let's move on to some of these receivers like the Browns. Amari Cooper, I ain't even.
No,
No.
I said at the start of the year, I said I don't even know if this man should be rostered. In the first
Yep.
week, I ain't tooting my horn or anything. It's just 1 week. He might pick it up, but it did
Man.
not look good the first week.
Are you
You know
interested
what he had?
in it? Are you interested in Peoples Jones, David Bell, and Joku? Like I said, Njoku, if you want, you ain't got one of them tight ends, slide him on in. I don't think it could hurt. I mean, I wouldn't be too concerned with him having a terrible game last week because they all do. So, but you got any interest in Peoples Jones?
Nah, it's intriguing. He had 11 targets last week, but those are Jacoby Brissett targets. So 60 yards, had 12 points in PPR. If you wanted to add them, just like speculate, put them on your bench and look, that's all right. But I'm not high on any of these this week in this game. I'm not high on any of the receivers. The Browns got a great defense. You seen what they did to DJ Moore last week.
Yep.
Um, I mean, Elijah Moore probably a must start, but nobody else receiver wise in this whole entire game I'm touching.
Yep, I'm with you. Elijah Moore, I think he did have four grabs last week, but not much to show for it, really. I'm Before we move on to the next game, I just want to say I'm starting, even though it was just week one, I was kind of buying into maybe this Jets offense could get rolling a little bit. And I know Zach Wilson's out, but I just can't help but just think, man, these are the Jets. The Jets are the Jets. And that just,
They're terrible. Joe Flacco is awful, and
yeah.
I mean Elijah Moore. I put the bet on little prize picks last week over 4.5 receptions just because I thought Flacco was just gonna just dump it off, and he ended up with 5 receptions. So I won $1 million. But I love
Yeah.
this podcast so much. So I was like, I'm still doing the pod, man. I don't care how rich I am anymore.
Man, let's just move on to Washington and Detroit. Interesting game to me. There's sneaky. There's just a lot of players out there. Wentz and Goff, you're not really playing them unless you're in a super flex league. Well, what about Wentz though? You playing Wentz in a one QB league?
Well, let's just put this to the test then, Matt. What quarterback in a 12-man league would you bench and put Carson Wentz ahead of? If you were the Prescott owner, that's the only one I could think of.
Mm-hmm. Yep. 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 I'm with you, man. Wentz is just too inconsistent. Like I know he looked good last week, but this dude could go out there and just take a dump, which is in his nature. So
Derek Carr or Carson Wentz?
I'm still rolling with Derek Carr.
Yeah, I'm with you
Um,
on that. He's
Obvious
got more
starts in
weapons.
this game are like DeAndre Swift, Amon-Ra St. Brown, who had a nice game last week. But Jamal Williams, if you ever just need a running back and you're in a little pinch, I wouldn't. Jamal Williams, they're gonna give him touches, especially around the goal line. DeAndre Swift could be the number one overall running back easily. As far, I mean, it's not even close. I'll take Swift over Jonathan Taylor all day if they would give him these little 1 yard touchdowns. But It is
This
what
is
it
the world
is.
we live in now, man, with the committees and the like. As soon as Javante goes off with Denver, they're gonna be like, "Well, Melvin Gordon's still gonna get at least get goal line work." Like you can't just have everything, man, and
Yeah.
it's frustrating. I want it all.
DJ
It's
Chark, you playing him this week?
not this week, but another one to keep your eye out on. 4 receptions for 50 and a TD last week, 15 points. You know, Detroit's going to be down a lot. They're going to have to throw a lot. DJ Chark has always been a pretty good receiver when he's on the field. He's their deep threat guy. So
Yeah.
um, he might be a good play all year round. Just it's too early for me to just throw him in there right now.
Antonio Gibson, you're obviously starting him, but I just want to look at him. He had 8 targets, 7 receptions. This guy was left for dead, and now here we are. He's got 7 receptions. Finished as the running back 10 last week in PPR league. So, if whoever put that, all you little Antonio Gibson owners out there, whoever put that hit out on Brian Robinson, it paid off because this dude was left for dead, and now he's seeing some nice production.
Antonio Gibson's good, man. He's a great running back when he's on the field. It's just for some reason the coaching staff just don't like him. It's like uh, Ron Rivera. I don't know what happened. Antonio Gibson must have got with his daughter or something. I don't understand.
Something crazy. These receivers for Washington, though, I believe McLaurin. Let me just make sure before I say it. He did. He had 2 receptions, but he had the touchdown. Curtis Samuel, though, surprisingly, he got paid last offseason, but 11 targets, 1 touchdown. He had 4 carries. What are you making of this Curtis Samuel situation? And I mean, me personally, I got him on a team right now, but it's like, let me ask you this: are you playing Curtis Samuel over Brandon Cooks next week?
Hell no.
That's what I'm
Hell no.
saying. I wouldn't do
This
that
is Brandon.
either.
This is Brandon Cooks, man. Brandon Cooks is one of the most steady plays you're going to get, and that's what Curtis Samuel is with the volume. He's a high floor play. He's not a win you the week kind of guy. So it definitely wouldn't be the worst thing you could do. I would start Samuel over any of the guys, like all them sleepers we mentioned earlier. Probably Palmer, Duvernay, Chark. I would probably start Samuel over all of them.
In Dynasty, now might be a good time to sell Samuel. If Jahan Dotson, rookie, had a nice little game yesterday. Let's see. He had 5 targets, 3 receptions, but he had 2 touchdowns. What do you
He's got to be rostered at this point.
got to
He
be
don't have to be
rostered?
started. But he's got to be rostered.
I just couldn't agree with you more. A little tricky situation they got in Washington. Next, we got the Colts headed to the Jacksonville Jaguars. A couple of my guys in this game, Matt Ryan, my guy Trevor Lawrence, who I did come out and say, this dude, he better do something soon because that jump was looking crazy. But Matt Ryan, Trevor Lawrence, I guess you're probably starting them in Superflex leagues. I probably feel a little more comfortable with Matt Ryan as of now, but Jonathan Taylor, nothing to really say. ETN, I mean, he dropped a touchdown pass, or his week would have looked way different.
ETN and James Robinson right now. I'm almost looking at them identical. Maybe even I might even like James Robinson more at this point because of the goal line work. But the passing
Yeah.
down work is probably still ETN's though. So it's a close call.
I'm still pretty high on ETN. Like you said, he's going to get the passing work. James Robinson, I'm just totally shocked, man. I would be staying. I stay away from these guys with Achilles injuries, but he did. He looked sharp and he had a
Look
couple
good.
touchdowns. So,
Yeah, he might be the only one who's ever come back from an Achilles, and I
yeah.
like seeing James Robinson do good. He's an undrafted guy, hadn't got his contract yet, so it was devastating when he went down with the Achilles. But
Yep.
maybe he'll get paid.
Any love for Naeem Hines?
Nah, like I said before, if it's a game script where they're projected to win, he's not going to do that much.
Michael Pittman, an obvious start. Probably the only one I'm starting from the Colts.
Yeah,
Um,
I just
Yeah,
have a
go.
hard time believing with the Colts that they're just going to have Michael Pittman and Jonathan Taylor are going to be the only contributors on that team. Like somebody has got to show up at some point this season, other than them two.
Man,
They
I,
all suck though.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I wouldn't, Paris Campbell, I wouldn't even sneeze in his direction, to be honest with you. But
He'll
over
get
here,
blown away if you do that and get hurt.
Christian Kirk, obvious must start. I'm definitely rolling him out there. I'd feel all right if he was my wide receiver too, if I'm being completely honest.
Yeah, Christian Kirk, 12 targets last week. I mean, that's up there with some of the best. So he had 12. Zay Jones had 9. Marvin Jones had 6. Um, is Zay Jones even in play for you at
That's
all? Or?
that's what I was about to ask. He's not in play for me unless you're in one of these deeper leagues. I did play him last week, and I might have to play him, but I'm a rebuilding team, so it's like Zay Jones is in there. But if you're a competing team, you probably shouldn't have guys like Zay Jones and Marvin Jones up in there.
Probably not.
Man, that's about it for that game. I mean, who cares about these teams?
Well,
I'm just playing. But yeah, just keep your eyes out. There's some big names in that game, but
yeah, I can't think of. Man, is this true? This can't be true. Oh, never mind. I was looking at Evan Ingram and it said 4 targets, 4 receptions, but it said 100 next to it, and that was the percentage. I thought it was the yards. I was like, man, this guy had 4 catches for 100 yards last week.
heck,
But
man,
no, 28 yards.
Evan
So,
Ingram, yeah, just
uh,
another one of them tight ends that you might just want to maybe think about tossing out there at some point. Shout out to my guy DT and Isaiah say I heard they had a little run in with Evan Ingram at the bar one time. Made him look like a little chump. Man, let's move on. Tampa Bay, New Orleans, NFC, whatever.
division matchup.
Yeah, some division, what you call it, South, blah blah blah. But Tom Brady, obvious start. Jameis Winston playing in your super flex leagues. Fournette, Kamara, they're obviously playing. Definitely not
Yeah.
playing Mark Ingram or Rashad White, I don't think. Maybe Mark Ingram if you just need something. You need you know, you had a pinch. But
Yeah, it wouldn't be a bad idea with Rashad White to roster him too. I like getting a piece of rookie running backs and
yeah,
just it looked like he is the handcuff for Fournette, so he's not just will this rookie do something this year?
yeah.
When they played Dallas, he was the next guy in. So
With that said, Fournette did look good the other day. I wouldn't be all that little him coming into camp fat and stuff. That don't even bother me at all after seeing what he looked like. Mike Evans, he's starting. Michael Thomas, are you throwing him in your lineup? I know he wasn't in everybody's lineups last week, but are you doing it this week?
you could do worse, but I'm still not like against the Buccaneers. There's no way I'm throwing him out there and I'm like, oh, this shit right here this right here is going to be great this week. Like it's not, man. It's not. But I felt you got to start him, right? Don't you have to start him at this point?
Man, I would say yes, but if you have another option, you're just stacked at wide receiver. I would go with that decision. I wouldn't be too. I would trade Michael Thomas in Dynasty. Probably trade him in a redraft for all I know. But Jarvis Landry had 9 targets, 7 receptions. Are you playing him?
That's a great floor play. Jarvis Landry has always been
Yeah.
steady, so I don't think anything's changed with that. If you're one of them teams that you got a flex spot and you're like, I just want 10 points, that's great. Jarvis Landry will get you 10 points probably.
Are you playing Julio Jones or Russell Gage at all?
I'm playing Julio. Chris Godwin out. Yeah, I'm going with Julio while he's healthy. He looked good, man. He was flying.
Giving him some carries too, man. So
Oh yeah, he
Julio
looked really
did.
good.
I'm with you. Julio looked nice. I'm out with Julio or Brandon Cooks. Still going Brandon Cooks.
Yeah, I'm going Brandon Cooks.
All right, let's just. There's not really much to say about that game then, because Kamara, he's gonna go out there. But let me ask you this: Kamara, does he at least bounce back from that week 1? or are we finally seeing
Yeah,
the decline of this man?
I don't think you're seeing the decline of him, but Taysom Hill is going to be a damn headache all year long around the goal line. I feel like Kamara's
Yeah,
touchdown
man.
coming, man. Is Taysom Hill? While we're on this, is Taysom Hill a worthy tight end start?
I'm gonna be honest. At tight end, I'm gonna hey, throw him out there, man. If you ain't got one of these top guys, me and Crap been doing talking crap about these tight ends. Why not? You know he's gonna get 5 carries or so. I know he broke one. He might get a goal line touchdown for all you know. I don't think it's a bad choice.
No, if you're putting your money on all the tight ends except for like the Kelseys and whatnot, but if you're putting all your money on what tight end has the best chance to score a touchdown, I think Taysom Hill probably going to be up there in the top couple.
Carolina headed to New York. Baker Mayfield, Daniel Jones. You're playing them in super flex leagues, but heck, I wouldn't want either one of them. I'm just being honest. But Saquon and Christian McCaffrey in the same game. Obviously, they're both
Oh
starting.
man,
Saquon went off last week.
there might be body parts like laid all over the field after this game, like hamstrings over here, like ankles over here.
Yeah.
But I ain't wishing nothing bad on these jokers. Like I love McCaffrey. I like Saquon. He's okay. That's one yesterday we didn't mention as a boom, but week one he went the hell off.
Went
So
off right now as a week one. He's the RB1. So, yeah, Saquon, I'm with you. They're obviously starting, but the only receiver that I would must start this game is DJ Moore. Would you start Robbie Anderson?
no, Robbie Anderson's so weird though to me because he was very good, but last year just gave you like the worst taste in your mouth of all time with Robbie Anderson. So it's like I guess I still need 2 games, the 2 game rule,
Yeah,
and see
he
how many targets he gets.
talked all that shit about Baker in the offseason and then got over 100 receiving yards. Better be kissing his butt now. Um,
That was
I'm,
on a broken play, though. We need to put
yeah,
that in there. That was a broken play. Safety and the cornerback didn't have the right assignment,
yep.
and Robbie Anderson was just standing there wide open. So
I'm not playing any of the wide receivers from New York. Are you even considering maybe Sterling Shepard?
no, I'm not doing Sterling Shepard and Kadarius Toney played 7 snaps week one. I mean, do you drop him? Do you keep him?
In
You gonna
redraft,
hold on? Yeah,
I'm gonna be honest. I probably hold on just a little longer, but Kadarius Tony, to me, I feel like they was just kind of protecting him a little bit. Still, I know they weren't saying nothing in the media, but I think Kadarius Tony, this dude's always hurt, so they were probably limiting his stuff. Oh, Wandale Robinson already is hurt, so I would hold on to Kadarius Tony just for a little bit.
yeah, Sterling. Yeah, I agree. I'd just hold him for a minute because he still looks good when he got the ball in his hands. He's
Yeah,
very athletic. But yeah, with Wandale out, that could definitely change his snap percentage. And but I'm not starting anybody. Kenny Galladay's done. I mean, he's
done.
he's done. He's
He,
all the way done.
I think he quit. That dude right there. I mean, that's the if you just I'm telling you, man, people like me, I just can't stand to see guys like that out there. That joker quit for real. I'm not even gonna lie. Let's just move on. New England, Pittsburgh, um, that offense.
It's kind of an ugly game.
I'm sitting here right now. There's not one player on that New England offense that I want. Maybe Ramondre Stevenson, but sheesh. Jacoby Myers if you're in a pinch, but there ain't nobody I
Yeah.
want off that offense.
Well, Ty Montgomery in he's out, and he was actually very involved last week. He played about 20 to 30% of snaps, and Damian Harris played 39, and Ramondre played about in the higher 20s percentage of snaps. So with Montgomery gone, I guess that might open things up for Harris and Ramondre a little bit more. But and Pittsburgh's rush defense didn't improve. I mean, Joe Mixon ran all over him last week, so
Yeah.
I
Yep.
think I'd still start Harris, give him one more week, And if you got to start Ramondre, you could probably do worse. But
Yeah.
yeah, this is the last. This is like the last straw for them too, though. I feel like because this is a good matchup, and if they ain't out there and they're not doing their thing, then you're gonna have to try to trade them, or they might have to be on your bench.
Najee, the Pittsburgh, and they're saying he's in. So obviously he's in. That's a tough one, man. I'd have my eyes on that one. Deontay Johnson, he's obviously starting. Had 12 targets last week, so I feel pretty good about that Deontay Johnson. But what about these guys like Claypool and Pickens? I seen Claypool got a little bit of work last week.
Yeah, I'm not starting it. I ain't gonna start either one of them in this game. There's better options out there with better matchups. So
Clay,
yeah, this game is ugly. I don't even know what the over under is, but I would still probably just hit the under, even if it was like
yeah.
35. I'd be like, man, under.
Claypool did have 6 rushing attempts last week, so I feel like that's just something to keep your eye on. But you know,
Yeah.
Seattle headed to San Francisco. Seattle just coming off that big win. They're
Are they
saying,
gonna win this one too? Are they gonna win this one too?
Man, in San Fran, I'm gonna say no. But Rashard Penny, are you starting him?
Yeah, I'm starting him. Not the best matchup, but like I said, he's probably one of those like that Chase Edmonds range where you're like, I drafted this guy early enough where I'm pretty much forced to start him unless you just have some. If you're not starting Rashad Penny, you probably got a pretty damn good team. So
Yeah. Um, Down here, I see DK Metcalf, and I'm just gonna be honest. In this game versus San Fran, if there's any type of options you got, man, look that way because I'm thinking DK is gonna be smothered this game, man. He's the only guy on that offense really worth even looking at. San Fran, that defense is stout. So,
yeah,
I mean, he's obviously starting in a lot of leagues, but if you can help it, I try not to
yeah,
do it.
yeah. Seattle was running a lot of tight ends out on the field. I'm looking at stats from their receivers. I mean, they won. They won Monday night, and DK had 36 yards, Lockett had 28, and Marquise Goodwin had 22. That is like, I ain't that great at math. That's about 70 to 80 yards from your whole
Yeah.
entire receiving core, man. And they won.
Trey Lance, you're obviously running him out there. Well, I say obviously, but are you obviously throwing him out there in a one quarterback league?
Well, yeah, it's an easy decision for people who have them. I mean, if you're like me and you got Trey Lance as your second quarterback, and I got Burrow, I'm starting Burrow. But if
Yeah.
you drafted Trey Lance as your number one guy, then this is probably a good matchup.
Mm-hmm.
The weather's not going to be crazy, and you should be able to evaluate him a little bit and see if he even got a job come week 3 because this week might prove a lot.
Yeah.
Hey, while I was talking about Trey Lance, do you think? That's like I said, I got Joe Burrow. I tried to trade somebody Trey Lance for Allen Robinson today. Think that's a good trade?
Mm. Yeah, I mean, heck, I'd do it. Shoot, because I ain't really low on Robinson. I know he had a bad week 1, but my opinion hasn't changed off him.
Yeah, I even did it for Metcalf. I know you don't like that, but
Ah,
I need a
man,
little
I,
bit.
I wouldn't
I
have
got
done.
Burrow, man. I don't know how much I'm starting Lance, but
Yeah, that's true. Jeff Wilson. I mean, we what you call it? Big news is Elijah Mitchell is done for a few weeks. Jeff Wilson, Tyrion Davis Price. Are you throwing Jeff Wilson out there, man?
man, this is just me, and it's funny because me and you have played fantasy for a long time, and we know how the Shanahan running back room works, and
Yeah.
it's scary. It's scary as hell. But if you're like a newbie to fantasy, you're probably rolling Jeff Wilson out there, and he's probably going to score like 35 points. And
Yeah.
like, man, we're just going to be shaking. Like, oh man, is it him? Is it Price? Like, is it that other dude? Like, we just have no idea.
Debo Samuel obviously starting. Brandon Ayuk though, what you think? He was in a lot of. Are you doing Brandon Ayuk or Hunter Renfro?
I'm going Hunter Renfro for sure on that.
Ayuk did, even though it was a little storm. He had 2 receptions, but I think let's see, one rush, one. I could have swore he scored a touchdown last week, but I don't guess he did he?
No.
So yeah, Brandon
Debo,
Ayuk.
Debo scored. Debo
Oh,
scored
that's
the
right. Debo would
touchdown.
have. Okay, yeah. So Debo, Kittle, is he out?
No news yet. It's still up in the air with him.
Still up in the air with Kittle. So yeah, that's look for Debo to just have a big game that game.
Oh yeah, man. Debo's gonna get the goal line work too, I feel like.
Oh yeah, agreed. Atlanta headed to Los Angeles. My Falcons choking as usual, always choking. But I'm not even like a little bit surprised. I mean, it is what it is. Mariota, I think Mariota is a sneaky play in super flex leagues because of the rushing upside. I personally, I know he had a fumble. He really didn't even look that bad to me. Stafford took a dump last week. Are you starting him in a one quarterback league this week, no matter what?
Yeah, this is one of those where just like give him another shot. It's Matthew Stafford. He's proven that he's good. It's not don't base it off one game against the Bills' great defense. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'd be starting. Definitely. I'm starting all the Rams, man, except for what you got with the Rams. I'm not starting Cam Akers this week.
Nope. Uh,
Definitely starting Daryl Henderson.
you
Yep.
said definitely
You think
starting?
Daryl Henderson? I'm definitely starting Daryl Henderson.
I would definitely play him over Cam Akers. There ain't no doubt about that. But Henderson,
Henderson or Penny?
I'm going. Wow, whew. Man, this week I'm saying Henderson versus the Falcons over Penny going against San Fran.
What about Edmonds?
Mm. Man, I might roll Edmonds out there. I've been pretty low on Edmonds, but I might roll him out there. That's tough though, man. That's tough decisions.
Yeah, I think Henderson's going to do his thing this week.
Cordell, does he do the same thing as he did last week?
He's Cordero's a great player, man. That was one person we never even talked about in all of our ranking shows. Like everything we did, I don't think his name came out of our mouth one time. But
Yep.
he's a freaking stud, and you're playing him every week. I mean, he had
You
a lot of opportunities last week, and he always looks good when he got the ball in his hand. So,
you playing this dude finished as the number 5 running back last week. Are you playing Cordell over Hollywood Brown?
oh man, uh, who did the Cardinals play?
They are playing Las Vegas.
Hmm. I guess I'm playing. Golly, I guess I'm playing Marquise Brown. I
What
don't know.
about
That
Cordero?
was.
What about Cordero or Brandon Cooks? I've been bringing him up. Brandon Cooks is like the benchmark, man. He's like the safest play. I would bring up Amon-Ra St. Brown a lot, but he don't really seem as safe to me as he seems like he's got a little upside. But Cordero or Brandon Cooks, what you doing?
I guess I'm going Brandon Cooks still. I'm still sticking with Cooks. I love me some Brandon Cooks. So that's
Um,
tough, bro.
Cooper Cup, he's obviously starting. Robinson, look for him to bounce back a
Don't
little
bench
bit.
him.
They're going,
Don't bench him yet.
yeah,
Don't bench
no.
him yet.
Don't overreact to that week one. Los Angeles, they're at home. They're going to play against the Falcons. They're going to get Robinson going a little bit. They're going to do it with a purpose. They're going to give him a few targets. So, you know,
Yeah. If the
uh,
Rams go out there and shit the bed this week against the Falcons, man, and the Vikings look as good as they do, what was that offensive coordinator the brains behind the operation, Kevin O'Connell, or is it Phil McVay? Because that's crazy how the Rams look so bad and the Vikings look so good.
yeah. Drake London had 5 receptions for 74 yards. I wouldn't mind playing him at a flex spot. I don't think it's like you're obviously starting, but in your flex, I see him getting more of the production than Kyle Pitts this year, so I wouldn't mind throwing
You
him
see
out
him get
there.
more production than Pitts, like
I,
more points.
Pitts is an obvious fade to be this year. was
Crazy.
Pitts, like what did he do last week? He had 7 targets, but 2 receptions. I mean, maybe I ain't gonna say more. That might be a reach, but Kyle Pitts, that would be the only player I guarded for the Falcons. I wouldn't even be worried about Cordero and all that. I'll just put my everybody on Kyle Pitts and just be like, y'all do whatever you got to do.
I think Pitts is going to be solid. I think he'll outscore London, but you're starting Kyle Pitts for
Oh
sure.
yeah, that ain't even a
You're
debate.
starting him anyway. Yeah.
Any word on Van Jefferson? I haven't heard about his week 2 status.
Hadn't heard about Van Jefferson. He just ain't important enough for in Rappaport and Adam Schefter to
Yeah.
like figure out if he's playing or not. It'd be like a Sunday morning type thing.
Higbee, tight end, slide him out there if you want to. I mean, it don't.
Put him out there.
We ain't gonna tell you not to. We ain't gonna tell you to do it either. So it's just, whatever you feel like that day.
Hey man, we acclaimed experts over here, fantasy football experts, but when it comes to tight ends, bro, we are not experts when it comes to tight
Nah,
ends.
just do what you got to do. Cincinnati headed to Dallas. Dallas, it's just a shit storm over there right now. Cooper
Oh,
Rush probably going to be starting. Joe Burrow, he's starting. Mixon, he's starting. Zeke, Pollard, they both starting. Well, Zeke is, but
No,
Pollard,
not Pollard. Not Pollard. No. Yeah, Zeke's in your lineup. CeeDee Lamb is, I guess, still in your lineup. Dalton Schultz is in your lineup. Bengals, you got Burrow, like you said, of course. Chase Higgins, if he clears concussion protocol.
yep.
The main questions in this game, I guess, what you would say, Tyler Boyd. You starting Tyler Boyd with or without Higgins? Answer one with Higgins and one without.
With, I'm gonna say no. Without, I'm saying yes. But also, like I would say, look for if Higgins is out, I would say look for Hayden Hurst. That's just one of those little tight end plays. This
Yeah.
tight end play could be all right, is what I'm saying. Hayden Hurst has never really looked bad to me. He's definitely always had, he's looked like a solid player. He had 8 targets last week. I think Hayden Hurst. Would you play Hayden Hurst or Dallas Goddard?
I play Dallas Goddard still.
To me, that one's tough. What about Hayden Hurst or Schultz, who's in this game?
Schultz, I feel like inexperienced quarterbacks really like tight ends because they're right in front of their face.
Throw it to the big bodies. Yep,
They
Schultz.
throw it to the big body right in front of you.
Schultz is obviously starting. Are we looking at any of these wide receivers like Noah Brown? I mean,
No, no, just
it's
just
just
stop.
it
Just
is what
stop.
it
Just
is.
stop.
That game is just that. It's funny how that basically Cowboys. You got to stay away from Cowboys right now, man. You throw a Zeke, and Zeke. You know what? Like with these running backs, to me, they don't really get hurt too much with a backup quarterback because then they'll start focusing on the run game a lot. But Zeke, I throw him out there, but that's literally about the only CD. I mean, to me, that's even iffy. CD or Metcalf?
CD, I go with CD Lamb. He's probably going to get more targets and more volume anyway, and I wouldn't be excited. But DK's playing San Fran, so yeah, the Bengals are a little bit easier defense than San Fran this week. So I'd still go with CD there.
Houston's headed to Denver. Denver just come off that loss. We talked about them earlier. Houston, I don't think you're really starting anybody in that running back on purpose. I started old Burkhead in our redraft league though. Did you see me pull that one out? Had to throw Burkhead in the lineup. got some running
your
back
team,
issues.
your team got issues,
My
bro.
team, it's funny. My team got issues, but I was the highest scoring loser. I could have won, man.
It's still a loser.
It's crazy
And
because like when I was talking to old Phil about this, I went tight end high in the first round, and that's the first time I've ever done that, and it definitely compromised my running back depth. So with Dobbins being out, I'm in a pinch with all that jazz going on over there. But Cooks, you're obviously starting. Nico, are you throwing him out there?
no, not throwing Nico out there.
I'm not even debating it. Javante Williams, Gordon, you're throwing them both out there. You're starting Gordon, right?
I would probably start him in the flex again, but Yeah, like I said, he was an inch away from having a decent game last game, and
Yep.
they'll, they'll probably run the ball a little more. Still a really good matchup. So we'll go back to it. Gordon or Penny?
I think I'm going Penny.
Okay. Well, there's the line. They figured
Yeah.
out the line.
Yep. Yep. Agreed. Sutton, Judy. I like what they did last week. Nothing you can really say. I expect hopefully they'll come out and we'll see a little bit more of what Denver's about to do. Any love for these tight ends? Brevin Jordan, Albert O, OJ Howard just had 2 touchdowns. Are you even consider just maybe slightly throwing them out there?
Man, I'm definitely gonna not start OJ Howard this week. And Brevin Jordan, get on somewhere. If you ain't a tight end who's even getting the red zone work, I mean that's all that you're good for. So
I know.
like, OJ Howard's getting the touchdowns. Like hell no.
Arizona headed to Las Vegas. You're obviously starting Kyler Murray. Derek Carr, you're starting him in a 1 quarterback league. I think we did say we would.
Yeah,
Um,
I would. And one thing I got to say about the Cardinals, man, y'all suck. Y'all are yeah. I feel like y'all got the worst offensive and defensive line in this league. Like you cannot get pressure on nobody. I I don't know how many Cardinals fans. I'm a Packers fan. We took a big L in week 1, but man, the Cardinals. I can't really think of anything positive to say about
I
the
couldn't agree
Cardinals.
more, man. Cardinals, y'all do suck, man. Y'all are trash, man. There ain't no doubt about that. Yep, this game right here, you're definitely starting James Conner.
Yep.
Josh Jacobs, are you starting him?
Yeah, I think so. Josh McDaniels needs to brighten up a little bit and you start giving his running backs the ball a little bit more. I mean, they didn't have hardly any carries last week. He was just
Yeah.
throwing, and it wasn't working. So maybe he switches over. I don't understand the Josh Jacobs thing. I don't understand like from an NFL standpoint, like why not give this man the ball? He's always proven that he's good.
Yeah, that one to me is puzzling as well. I mean, they didn't, I don't even know why they didn't pick up his 5th year, man. I don't even know why they did that, but Devontae Adams, he's obviously starting. Hollywood Brown, he's starting. Renfro, is that an obvious flex play?
Yeah, I'll roll him out there again. If Adams does the same thing again and has 17 targets, 15 targets, and Renfro gets about 3 or 4, like you're probably gonna have to bench him next week, right? I'm just looking at the
Yeah.
targets for Renfro. That's like the only stat line I'm looking for.
Yeah. I'm in agreement with you on that. Let me ask you this one: Greg Dortch for Arizona, he had 9 targets, 7 receptions. I say it, I know he's sitting here laughing, but he was getting a lot of work. Not on the field for 91%. Are you playing him right
Yeah,
now?
the Raiders defense ain't great. What? Oh man, I don't think I'll be playing him.
Mm-mm.
Uh, you said that name and for some reason, Kyle Phillips. We're gonna talk about the Titans here in a minute though, so we'll get
Yeah.
to that.
Waller, you're playing him. Ertz, you're playing him. Hope maybe you get a few catches from these guys, but other than that, it is what it is.
AJ Green taking a
Matt,
shot on him again.
I for sure ain't playing AJ Green. That Joker, talk about a decline. That Joker he had the steep decline, man. That Joker can't even move hardly.
Yeah, but I would start Jacobs. But if you're a owner of Jacobs, really pay attention to this game. Like pay attention to his passing down work, his red zone work, like how often he's on the field. Because I don't think it's going to change much as the season goes along. Because Josh McDaniels brought over that Brandon Bolden fella, and he's
Yeah.
kind of like his guy. So
Sunday night football, Chicago Bears, they headed to play your Green Bay Packers. I expect Green Bay to have a bounce back game. Obviously, you're starting Aaron Rodgers. Justin Fields, what about him? You starting him in a 1 quarterback league or just a super flex play right now?
I think he's just a super flex play. I still believe in Green Bay's defense, but I still think Green Bay is going to have some struggles on offense again. And Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon and probably Rodgers is the only that's the only players on the Packers that I would probably start. What do you think? Well, if Alan Lazard plays, I would play him.
Yeah, depending on Lazard, yep. Aaron Jones, Dylan. What do you, man, make sense of that situation right there. You think Dylan takes over as the guy in that running back situation? He looked good.
Well, Aaron Jones looked good too. They both got a lot of touches, but Dylan did get the goal line work as we both predicted. I feel like,
Yeah,
um, and Aaron Jones, AJ Dillon had the most reception yards, the most receptions, and the most rushing yards for the Packers on Sunday.
yeah.
Like
Uh,
AJ Dillon can catch the ball also, but you're starting Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon. I think they're going to be
yeah.
very similar at the end of the year.
Yep, I agree. Montgomery, you're obviously starting Montgomery. Darnell Mooney, obviously starting him, but that's really about it from the wide receivers. Tunyon, you said you're rolling Tunyon out there.
I'm rolling Tunyon out there this week. I'm definitely rolling him out there.
Yep.
I thought he was going to be limited last week, but it didn't look like he was. He was on the field a lot.
Yeah.
5 targets, 3 receptions for 36 yards. I mean, nothing crazy, but just the opportunity in this offense, man. That's the only reason that I'm going to roll him out there.
Yep. Cole Komet. I know he shit a brick last week, but it is. It was in that game, but I'm still rolling with Cole Komet. I like Cole Komet, so
Yeah, I think Cole Komet, I'm playing him. I'm probably playing him. And if I got Cole Komet in the league, I'm probably just playing him every week because
yeah.
I just believe he's going to be fine.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, so we got Monday Night Football. Got two games on Monday night. I had to make sure I was seeing things right when I said something to you before we did this. A little doubleheader on Monday. Tennessee's headed to Buffalo. First of all, look for Buffalo to smash these dudes, but Tannehill, you're playing them in a super flex. I hate Tannehill. I'm just being honest. Josh Allen, obvious. Derrick Henry, that's obvious. Hilliard had got some goal line work though. What are you thinking about that? Had 2 touchdowns.
Well, I don't think Hilliard had goal line work. He caught 2 touchdowns, 2 receptions, and one was from about 15 yards out or so. So that's not going to be sustainable for him. I don't feel
Good.
like is Derrick Henry on the goal line for sure.
I'm glad you knew what was going on. I didn't even watch that game. I had no clue.
It was a bad game. It's the Giants and the
uh,
Titans. I
uh,
don't blame you for missing that one.
this Buffalo running back room, Singletary, you slinging him out there. He looked pretty solid last week.
Yeah, I think the game script's going to be really good for him. I'd start Singletary this week for sure, and not Zach Moss. Don't
Nah,
start Zach Moss. Not
man.
yet.
What do you do about old Robert Woods, though, man? What are you doing about that, man?
He's
Two
very close
targets.
to droppable. He's very close to droppable. If he
Y-
does it, all right, I think this is the rule for this week. If he goes under 5 targets, just drop him. If he
Yeah.
if he if he has like 3 catches, 4 catches for 40 yards, just cut bait. I think it's done.
Yeah, it's crazy because he was like the only Titans guy I would have even thought about starting at the beginning of the year, but I don't know, man. That one's just tough, man. That Tennessee, that I've been on it all summer, man. That Tennessee squad, man, they about to blow it all up, is what I'm thinking, especially with AJ Brown being gone. But are you playing any of these other guys? On any of these other wide receivers for Tennessee?
I wouldn't be playing any of them. I keep my eye out on Kyle Phillips. He's short little white guy, runs around, slot guy who can get open, and probably that's probably why Robert Woods is going to be a bust this year because
Yeah,
Kyle Phillips is getting most of the targets for this team.
yep,
So I keep an eye out on him for a safe play,
yep. You heard Kraft a
and then
little,
and then Dynasty pick him up for sure.
yeah, a little honky, a little cracker out there for us, for a little little white boy. Had 9 targets,
did. Oh yeah.
6 receptions. So uh, you know, what about your boy Hooper? You know, throwing him out there in
I've already I've already dropped him. I was so confident too, man. I was like, man, he's a number 2 in this offense. He's gonna do something. And yeah, Robert Tunnion's in my lineup now, and Hooper's on the free agency, and nobody has Nobody in that league has been clamoring to get Austin Hooper on their team.
Yeah.
Well, the Cowboys.
Stefan, Gabe Davis, they're obviously starting. McKenzie and Crowder, that little situation right there. Are you throwing, in my opinion, I keep them both on my roster. They're both going to see some work, but when one of them goes down, the other's going to pop, is how I see that situation.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I don't think you can drop either one of these guys. The Bills' offense is too explosive,
Yeah.
and I'd still go with McKenzie over Crowder just because he's just more athletic, just more explosive player.
Dallas Knox, any love, or Dawson Knox, any love for him, man? You know
You've
how
done
to.
so good, man. You made it all episode without mispronouncing somebody's name, and you did it two times in a row.
I know, man. Dawson Knox, man. Just throw him out there if you want to, man. It ain't no shame in throwing in a tight end on a powerful offense. That's how I see it.
Yeah, Dawson Knox is extremely tight. TD, what's the word I'm looking for?
TD dependent.
He had, yeah, golly, TD dependent last year, so um, it's gonna be the same this year. I feel like he'll have some like boom games.
Yeah. Um, I think that's about it, man. Let's just move on to the other Monday night game. Minnesota headed to Philly. Minnesota looked good. Philly looked pretty good on offense, doing what they do. Kirk Cousins hurts. Let me ask you this. Are you playing Kirk Cousins going against Philly? Or are you playing Tom Brady going against New Orleans?
I'm playing. I'm playing. Kirk Cousins probably.
So, yep, Kirk Cousins. I mean, they were slinging the rock last week. Looked good. Throwing it to his guy, Justin Jefferson. Dalvin Cook starting. Madison, are you giving him any play? Probably not.
Nah, he's just a handcuff. That's all Madison is.
Justin Jefferson's obvious. Thielen, are you throwing him out there?
Yeah, I would. I'd play Thielen. It's not going to be. Justin Jefferson is going to eat this year all year long. I'm not
Yep.
going to say that but he'll slow down a little bit. He was like the Adams with the Raiders, where it was just him and nobody else got anything. So I don't think that's sustainable. Adam Thielen's going to be good. He's going to score touchdowns.
Yeah.
You, yeah, I'll start
Thiel-
Thielen for the week.
Thielen, he only had 4 targets, but he was on the field for 95% of the plays. So, Thielen is what you thought he was, but I think he'll definitely have some good games. Probably have some games like he just did. Miles, what about this, Miles Sanders, this Philadelphia backfield? What you thinking about it?
I think Miles Sanders is still the only running back that I would start out of this backfield. And I mean they all scored a touchdown last week, which
Yeah.
made them all kind of relevant. And Philadelphia's offensive line is probably the best in the NFL. So
Yeah.
I'm just if Miles Sanders is getting over 10 to 15 carries a week, I think you'd be pretty safe with him.
Yep. One thing about Philly is they're going to be running the football. So AJ Brown, he's an obvious star. Had a big game last week. Devontae Smith, though, before the season started, I was saying RIP to Devontae Smith's fantasy, relevancy. But it ain't all bad. But he did get 4 targets. Had a goose egg. What are you doing with Devontae Smith?
I'm going back to last year where I had Devontae Smith and every time I played him he did terrible and every time I didn't he did great. But this year's different. Like he was the only guy there this year. He had a couple good games last year, but this year you got AJ Brown there. He's not startable. There you could do much better, I feel like,
Mm-hmm.
than Devontae Smith.
Um, Dallas Goddard, you're obviously playing him. Irv Smith for Minnesota, I was a little high on him. I still think put him on your team, but the thing you got to be worried about is he was only on the field for 31% of the snaps last week. And he was hurt during the offseason, but you got to be looking
Yeah,
out for that one, though.
Well, that was one thing that I said in our sleeper episode about KJ Osborne is that Kevin O'Connell runs more 11 personnel, which is three receivers, than any other team. So KJ Osborne is going to be on the field a lot, and Irv Smith is not. Their tight ends are not going to get much play.
Real quick before we just start wrapping things up, I'm going through every game in one word. Just give me the name. Who's going to be the top scorer of that game? Chargers of Kansas City.
Outside of quarterbacks, I'm
Outside
go
of quarterback, of course. Yeah,
Eckler.
I'm gonna say Mike Williams. Miami and Baltimore.
Um, Miami, Baltimore, Jalen Waddle.
I agree. New York and Cleveland. The Jets in Cleveland.
Nick Chubb.
Foo-wee. I'm gonna have to agree with you on that one. Washington and Detroit.
DeAndre Swift.
Swift. Colts and Jacksonville.
Jonathan Taylor. Michael Pittman.
You going Pittman or Taylor?
No, I'm going Taylor.
I'm gonna go Pittman. Tampa Bay and New Orleans.
Mike Evans.
Man, I'm gonna say Leonard Fournette. Carolina and Giants.
Saquon.
Yep, Saquon. New England and Pittsburgh.
This one's tough. New England.
I'm gonna say Deontay Johnson.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Najee if he plays. If he doesn't, then Deontay Johnson.
Seattle and San Fran.
Debo.
Big game from Trey Lance though, or no?
I think he is gonna. I think he's gonna be great for fantasy and not great in real life.
Falcons and Rams.
Cooper Kupp, of course.
Cincinnati and Dallas.
Jamar.
I'm gonna say Jamar. Houston and Denver.
Cortland Sutton. No. Oh, wait. Houston? No, Javonte. Williams.
I'm going Javonte. Arizona and Las Vegas.
Arizona, Las Vegas. Adams.
Same. Chicago and Green Bay.
Aaron Jones.
I'm gonna say Aaron Jones as well. Tennessee and Buffalo.
Tennessee and Buffalo. That's gonna be. I'm gonna say Gabe Davis over Diggs this week.
I heard that. I like it. I'm gonna go roll with Stephon. And then Minnesota and Philly.
Minnesota, Philly, Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, that one's just too obvious. So, yep. I mean, we got it. That just wraps up the week 2. What we talking about with week 2? Is there anything else to add going into this coming up week starting on Thursday?
Well, like Levi said in the episode yesterday, don't panic. Don't be dropping all your players that you drafted.
Yeah.
If you really had a belief in them when you drafted, you need more than 1 week. So that's my only advice. And, pay attention to the snap counts and stuff like that. So,
man, even if you go 0-2, 0-3, still don't freak out. Fantasy's it's a long thing, and you never know what could happen. So, yep, getting ready for Thursday. I'm ready for week 2. I hope everybody has good weeks, unless you're playing me. Then I hope your team is ass.
Yeah. Y'all just listen to what we got to say. I feel like we're giving out a lot of content. We trying to give all y'all as much information as we can and talk about as many players as we can, as many matchups as we can. So
for those of y'all out there who are listening, man, who is putting out content as much as the Craft Man and I? Let me just ask. I know some mainstream people are out there, but we the ones diving in deep, man. We the ones giving it out to the people.
You ain't kidding, man. My mouth beat. Like, my jaw hurts after all our podcasts. I feel like I just be talking so much.
But shoot, man, that about wraps it on up. Let's get on out of here. Me and Kraft will be dropping more episodes throughout the week. Thanks for listening to the podcast. Kraft, you got anything else to say?
Go Pack, go.
Go Pack, go. And Falcons, man. 0-16, baby.
Hey. Then land safely.
man, just go 0-16 and let's get us a QB next year. That's how I see 0-17. But shoot, man, that about wraps it up, man. Thanks for listening to the podcast. Add it, subscribe, do whatever you gotta do. We out of here.
Peace.